Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Eating While Broke. I'm your host, Coline Witt, and today we have very special guest, Kenneth Monroe, also known as Pen Ken, in the building. I'm very, very excited to have you. Oh, I forgot to introduce,
Thanks
guys.
for having me.
He is author of children's books and many, many more. A long time, over 20 years as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
But what caught my eye is your books. Legends of Hip Hop, dedicated to children. We got Tupac, Queen Latifah, Kid and Play, and we have Biggie. And before they started taping, I was grilling you because he does not have Jay-Z.
I know.
And if everyone who knows me knows that I am a huge Jay-Z fan, and I would have loved to see a Jay-Z book, but there's
Maybe
more to
next
come.
time. Maybe
Next one.
It's more to come because they're doing well, so it's more to come.
Yes, and that's even better to hear. So before we get started into your story, what are you going to have me eating today?
So what I'm going to have you eat is a meal that one of my mentors taught me years ago in Oakland, California, the 510 to town. And these are called player potatoes. Mm-hmm. Player potatoes is something that gets you by. It don't cost a lot, but it's enough ingredients in there to, it's fulfilling. You have your potatoes, you have your cut up garlic, mm-hmm. you have your cut up carrots, bell pepper, and it's something that you can make that you can eat it 2-3 times with like one serving. It's
very affordable, extremely affordable. Guys, this is like under $5 in this economy.
and you can eat it 2 days.
You can survive. Yeah, you can survive. It'll keep you bulky, right?
Absolutely. When you loan funds and stuff like that, when you grinding, you can make a pot of this and you can eat it twice in one day and still have a little bit left over for the next day. Nice.
So how long on average does it take to make this dish?
About 25 minutes.
Okay, well, go ahead. Start cooking.
Let's do it.
This will be I eat cereal in the morning now. I'm like a little kid. I eat Fruity Pebbles or Captain Crunch. No healthy cereals here. When you have a little kid, you know that you become a little kid again.
Absolutely.
I did not know that's the thing. When you become an adult and you have kids, you get to become a kid again.
That's the fun part.
Yes. And one of the things, not trying to sidetrack at all, but as becoming a new mom, I did buy a lot of kid books, and I started to realize like some of the publishers I liked when I was a kid, I was like, why? Like Dr. Seuss was one of them. I can't do it with these glasses talking to me.
Love the glasses.
Thank you. While we're taping, they're like sending me messages, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do it. I am terrible at multitasking. But I will say, I do read these children's books, and some of them, they're either long-winded or for Dr. Seuss, in the case of Dr. Seuss, it was like too rhythmic. It was just like, you're not even making sense. And nowadays, you see these cartoons and they don't really have like a underlining, in my opinion, like they don't make sense, like a lion falling in love with a deer, like weird
that we
stuff.
Can't relate to, that we can't resonate with. And that's one of the things why I wanted to do the books, because we didn't have nothing for the culture for us. Hip hop is a big part of us in the culture. And when I was doing my research before I started the books, I'm like, when I first signed with my agent, the first thing I told her, I said, I don't want to do them little cute bedtime stories. I'm like, if I'm gonna get into this industry, it have to be books that's gonna touch the culture, the kids, the parents, something that we all can resonate with, that we grew up on. So I'm like, it's nothing touching on music. Music is such a big part of our world and our culture. Why aren't kids learning about our hip hop heroes? When we in school, we learn about presidents, all these type of holidays, but we don't learn about hip hop and where it started and the origins of it. So I told my agent, I said, I want to do a hip hop series. And this is before Hip Hop 50.
Yeah, and I love this too, because kids are seeing kids that are reflections of themselves, which you have people of color in the book. I mean, obviously it's hip hop, but we don't really have a lot of that going on either.
Absolutely, and everything comes back full circle. Imagine when we was kids. Think about it. What was we listening to around the house? The old school, the 70s music. So these kids in this generation, they need to know about the legends that we grew up on.
Exactly. So let's get into, take me back to what was going on during the time of potatoes. And this dish you said came from your mentor. So
and they call player potatoes.
Player potatoes. Player. Take me back to what was going on when you got advice to make player potatoes to survive.
So this was a time we experienced different things in our life, different hardships that we have to persevere through. But we always remember our first time experiencing hardship for real. Even if we have different hardships throughout our life, you will never forget the first time you really experienced like what it means to be low and down. So I grew up in East Chicago, Indiana, a 2-parent household. My parents, two jobs, great jobs my whole life, me and my little brother. I didn't struggle growing up. I couldn't have asked for a better childhood. My mother and father, they just, from what they taught us and how they raised us, they just raised us the right way. And we was grateful that they could be able to afford things and do things with us to provide a great childhood for us. I went to school in Arizona. That's where I went to college at. And after I majored in communications. And after my second year, I was like, I don't want to go to school no more. I knew I wanted to get into the entertainment. I knew the corporate life wasn't going to be for me. I never worked a corporate job in my life. It was like, I 50 say get rich or die trying. Well, for me, it was entertainment or die trying. So after my second year, I told my parents, I said, I know who I am. I know what I want to be. Some kids just know who they want to be early. I knew in high school what I wanted to be. It was just about waiting for the opportunities.
And what did you want to do in high school?
In high school, I was like, one day I want to go to LA. In high school, go to LA and see what the entertainment industry is about. I was always in high school, like I was popular. I was known a lot. My personality, of the classes and stuff that I was in was like communication classes and TV classes. I played sports, so I knew that sitting behind the desk wasn't just going to be my journey. So after my second year in college, I told my parents, I said, I don't want to waste no more time and do another 2 years knowing this is not what I want to do. They teach us to go get your degree. Go work for some for 30 years, get your pension.
And how did your parents take the news?
I have some very supportive parents. And that's one thing I've learned through other friends.
These parents sound amazing.
Yeah, I have very supportive parents. You got parents that try to hold their kids back from what they want to do. My parents was like, we don't know nothing about Hollywood. My mother was scared to death. She said, but if this is what you want to do, we can't hold you back. And so they said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go out here to LA. We're going to get you an apartment. We ain't going to get you an apartment in the hood or nothing. We're going to get you an apartment, a nice apartment where it's happening at. We're going to pay your first year rent.
Oh, these parents amazing. Go on.
No, absolutely. We don't want you to be in the hood, in the sketchy areas, gangs out there. We don't want you to be, we want to put you in the white area where everything happening there. So they put me in the Valley, Studio City.
Okay, Studio City is a great
area.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we was like, I found the roommate. They said, for this first year, we want you to hustle. We want you to network. We want you to find your way, meet people, this and that. After the first year, you should be, good enough to kind of start hustling and making a couple dollars to start, funding your apartment, whatever you need to do. So that whole first year, I did nothing, but I'm a people person. I call myself, I'm a master at networking. That's just who I was my whole life growing up. So that first year, I was just getting into different things and just, I started working for MTV and doing, remember Dismiss and all them shows that was back in the day? It was a lot of shows for MTV. I started, working, doing shows for MTV.
And you were doing intern level or what?
No, I was doing TV shows like talent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
booking the talent? Or
I was the talent.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, you were the talent. Were you getting paid and stuff?
Yeah, I was getting paid. But back in them days, like the reality shows, they pay you, I think, $500 or it was a few $100s. It wasn't nothing. But I was doing like different shows. And then I started like working for Playboy and doing different things. And that whole year, I was just meeting a lot of people and I was just building my network. And long story short, after that first year was over, or around towards the first year, that's when I met my mentor.
Okay.
He had came to my apartment complex. He did real estate. He did a lot of the music industry. He is a guy that taught me a lot just about life. And when he met me, he took a liking to me and said, "You're really talented. I believe in you." He said, if you ever get in the bind or something like that, just, let me know. Let me know. I mean, this guy I called him pimping because he had so many women. You know what I mean? Like when I met him, he was in a drop top baby blue Rolls Royce. You know, when he came to the like he had limos, he was just like, but he was a good guy, but he took care of the hood. He was that guy, but he was around a lot of dope heads, you know, and drug dealers and alcoholics, and just from trying to help people and put people on. So
And what did he do for work?
real estate.
Oh,
he did real estate, and he
well,
did.
While you go ahead, start cooking while you're talking.
He did real estate. And he did a lot in the music industry. So
you want a fork or something? Oh, you got
I'm
it.
good. He did real estate and a lot in the music industry. So after the first year, I had met a woman, and she had a small daughter. She was like 2-3 years old, and she had just got out of a divorce with a big TV producer. And you know the TV world, it's a lot of long hours and stuff like that. So when I met her, she was 15 years older than me. And that was my first time dating a older woman, and she had a small kid, and we got really close, and I became really close with the kid. So we started dating and got in a serious relationship. And after that first...
She was 15 years older than you?
15 years older than me.
Ooh.
You know, had her own money, all this type of stuff. I'm a young kid. And after that first year, I stopped telling my mother and father things because I wanted to show them that I was growing up, and I just didn't want to use them for a crutch every time I needed something or to bail me out. So I went and got a little job at Office Depot. You know what I mean? Didn't want to do it, but I wanted to show, you know, my woman that I got my own money. I'm gonna get a few dollars. I'm not about to be taking you out to dinner, paying on my parents' allowance. You know, like she's 15 years older than me. I'm like, I gotta grow up at some point. I didn't want that job, but I went in, so I was stocking the shelves. You know, I think it was $12 an hour. It wasn't nothing. So I got a job. After 5 months, I said, I'm not doing this. I said, this ain't me. I'm not about to force myself to do this. So, you know, things started getting hard. I wasn't telling my parents what I was going through. They'd call me and check on me and how I'm doing this and that. I was lying the whole time. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm getting some money, but I'm struggling the whole time. I'm behind on my rent. I had a roommate. I'm behind on my rent. Things was going on. I got so deep that I got evicted.
Oh, wow. And you still ain't told your parents?
Well, I had to at that point. Okay. Because they had to help me, you know, bail me out.
And was there a name on the apartment too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So did they handle did you get in trouble?
I didn't get like in real trouble, but they gave me a long talk. They gave me a long talk, and I got evicted. I had just recently, me and my girl was together about a year and a half. We had just recently broke up because we was going into two different directions, and you know, she wanted to get married again. I'm like 21 years old. Yeah. I'm vibing. That's not what I wanted to do. And the thing that hurt me the most is that me and her daughter was very close, and it's like walking out of a kid's life when they 3-4 years old. You know what I mean? Walking out of a kid's life when they 3-4 years old, and that kind of messed me up. You know, mentally, that hurt me. So my mentor in Oakland, he was like, "You either gonna go home, or you know, you can come out here until you get on your feet." So
he said, "Come out where?"
To Oakland. Okay. He had this big house. He was the only black person in the hills of Oakland. Waterfalls all in his backyard. He was like the only all white people around, the only black person in the hills of Oakland. It was crazy. So when I went out there, that was the first time when I learned real life. He was like, I ain't gonna treat you like your mama. You about to grow up. He was like, you've been spoiled too much. He was like, you facing hardships, and this is what real life is about. And he used to have me around a whole bunch of like drug addicts and alcoholics and people that he dealt with, just to show me like, this could be you if you don't clean it up. This Hollywood, this California, this ain't like back in your hometown. If you want to survive and make it out here, you got to grow up and you got to start understanding the game. So when he did that, he used to take me around a lot of meetings and stuff. He was like, I'm gonna take you around all these meetings with me and let you see how you conduct business, how you do things. Now, one valuable thing that he taught me, and I appreciate him to this day, he said, the people that's going to end up helping you in your life is going to be women. He said,
shout outs to the women.
Yeah, shout out to the women. 90% of the people that was in his life that he was doing business with was women. He was like, look, you got charisma, you good looking, you got a good head on your shoulders. He said, a lot of guys is going to hate that. A lot of guys that can't give you opportunity, not going to want to give you an opportunity. A lot of guys not even going to want you around a woman. You know what I mean? And at the time, I'm like, what do all this mean? And so he started taking me around all these meetings and started letting me see like how he was conducting business with women, sharp women. I'm talking about he had sharp women, entrepreneur women, this and that. So he was like, use your gifts. He was like, you have to use your gifts to get ahead in life. He was like, women is more responsible. They don't procrastinate like men. He was like, they don't have no reason to hate on you. A guy hate on you before a woman will in a second. He was like, get some sharp woman on your team. He was like, I'm not talking about just like on dating. He was like, I'm talking about handling business. Learn how to do business with smart business like women, and you gonna see how your life gonna change. So I was in Oakland like a year. And after that lesson, when I went back to LA, I kept my network the whole time. When I went back to LA,
wait, you were out there for a whole year?
I was out there for like a year.
Okay.
I was out there for like a year, and it was times I was out there, I was at my breaking point, you know, and I just said, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not going home. It's not no option. And when I went back to LA, I started gathering my network, and I started throwing the biggest parties in Hollywood. I'm talking about not clubs. I'm talking about like mansions, hotels, yachts, like from Bel Air, Beverly Hills. I was doing it in like Miami, South Beach, Vegas. The women I was dealing with used to give me their homes to throw parties in. And they didn't want no money. They was like, we gonna give you our house, throw a party in. And that's kind of how like my network started when I started throwing all these big parties. But I wasn't making no money at first because you got to fake it until you make it.
Of course.
The type of parties
I know that.
Yeah, the type of parties I was throwing was, they was celebrity parties and high level parties. So you can't really ask them people for no money.
Nope.
You know, when they giving you they homes and different things to throw parties in, even the people that's coming, you can't really ask them for money. You got to do the parties and build your network. So I'm still struggling, but I'm faking it till I make it. I got all these rich people, Hollywood people in all these rooms, and we party, I'm building my network, but I'm like, I'm betting on myself. If they like me, they gonna want to help me down the line. So when my mother used to call me and say, well, how you getting money? What is you doing? I used to tell my mom I had a job. I used to always tell her, I work for the moving companies that help people move out their homes, like the moving trucks. I'm lying the whole time, but you know how I really was getting money? Until I was able to make some money. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna be real. I was getting money because the drug dealers, I used to have people that used to come in and serve, you know, rich people like to get high. They like, when they party, they like to get high. So I had the drug dealers coming in, serving ecstasy, cocaine, weed, all that, just for the party. I never touched it. I wasn't driving around in the car with it because I wasn't taking them type of chances.
Yeah.
You know, so they used to come in and supply whatever they needed at my parties. And by the end of the night, I get a bankroll. I get a bankroll, just hand it to me, put in your pocket.
Okay.
I leave, it's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000.
Okay.
That's how I'm paying rent off drug money.
Okay.
You know, because I wasn't getting paid from the parties at first until I started building my name.
Yeah.
So how I was surviving was getting a commission on
that's
the
pretty
drugs
smart, though.
that they was hustling at my
you
parties.
Do what you had to do. Yeah.
You know, so that's how I was getting money at first, and then once I started building my network and stuff like that, then I was able to start getting sponsors and different things start happening as far as where I was able to make money. But that's how I started throwing the parties, and that's how I was making money until I was able to start, you know, making the real money. Drug money was paying my rent, and my survival.
You use survival instincts, and your mentor, it sounds like he did a very good. It sounds like he left a lot of golden seeds in your head, because even if you think about it from a business perspective, you know, if you're catering to a certain audience and this is what they're into, and you cater to them in total capacity, they're going to keep coming back, right?
Absolutely.
So you did exactly what, you know. Brilliant. I thought you were going to say sponsors from the jump, but you're right. It does take time. So after you're throwing these parties, I'm trying to inch all the way to the end to where you're at today when it comes to being an author.
Absolutely.
And 20 years being an entrepreneur. So I see you started in your 20s as an entrepreneur.
Like, yeah, I moved to LA when I was like 19 after my second year of college, real young, and started throwing the parties. My run in the parties was from like 21 to about 31. I had about a decade run where I was really.
Your database must be amazing.
No,
I want to go to, but you're
amazing.
done. You're not doing it anymore.
I had my daughter. And
Okay.
she got me out the game. When I had my daughter, I got off social media. I stopped throwing parties. When I became a father, a lot changed for me. So, but before I had it from like 21 to 31, I had a decade run where I was throwing the biggest parties in Hollywood, Miami, South Beach, Vegas, New York. Like my network became to a certain point where I was throwing parties all around the country where like it was, but I got caught up. It was a lifestyle that I would never go back to because I definitely got caught up in you spending as fast as you getting it. And you know, you seeing a lot is happening at these parties, and you can't keep a relationship like that as well. So it was causing issues with my relationships, and
You mean like your personal relationships?
absolutely, because my parties was like 80% women. My parties, you walk one of my parties, I was doing parties, Playboy Mansion. I was doing, it was like 80% women. All the parties I was doing, because that's what my mentor taught me. Get the women on your team. That's how you're gonna get money.
That's why he's nicknamed Pippin.
I named him that.
You named him that.
I named him that because that's how I met him.
Shout out to Pippin. Is he still around?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. We kind of lost touch a little bit, like throughout the years when I had my daughter, when I became a dad. But he's about 80 years old now.
Wow.
He's about 80 years
Is he
old
still
now.
doing the lifestyle that he was when you met him?
No, you can't be doing that at that age. Not at 80.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's just a retired pimp.
No, he's still gonna be him. He's still gonna get money with women, but he didn't slow down from that lifestyle because he's 80 now.
Okay. Did he ever settle down and have kids, or not trying to derail?
Then he he do have a kid. He do have a kid that I was really close with, but his lifestyle was just always he wasn't a selling down married type.
Got it.
He always had women around him like all the time, ever since I known him. That wasn't his personality.
Now, all right. So what happens at 31 where you start to take another pivot?
31, that changed my life.
Because you did the party scene for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So then what happens tell me what happens at 31.
I was with my girlfriend that held me down. She was like 7 years older than me, and all throughout
you
the
and
years,
these older women, okay?
Yeah, no, she held me down. She was somebody that my journey wouldn't be my journey without the role that she played in my life. I'm talking about ride or die. And we was together for years throughout the whole party scene. We had separated and broke up. And when we had separated, I had met someone else, and she got pregnant fast, and I had a daughter, and I had a kid. So when that happened, we were still kind of maybe talking about getting back together and whatnot. But once I knew I had a kid on the way, that was over. So I had to leave LA, move to Chicago because she was from Chicago, and she was like, I don't want to give birth in LA.
Oh, the girl that you hooked up with was based in Chicago.
My daughter's mom. Great girl, great family. I appreciate like her family, like we still close today. Great person, great family. And I come from a father that was in my life, so I wasn't about to do no raising no child long distance. I moved to Chicago. I was depressed for a while because, I got a baby on the way. I don't know what that's like. I'm leaving LA. I'm leaving my network. I'm leaving my lifestyle. And I'm coming out to Chicago for the unknown. But thank God for family. Thank God for family support, because I never knew how hard it was to have a child, as far as just like babysitting and just, raising a child. I just never knew. So
it's like a culture shock, right?
Yeah, it's a culture shock. So it's a
like
culture.
It's like jumping into a cold water plunge. You like, wait, what? Look at your parents differently though, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a culture shock to me. So I when she was pregnant, I was at every doctor visit. I was involved the whole thing, and I said to myself, I said, bro, you got to change your ways. I said, you about to become a dad. Just the lifestyle that you've had the past 10 years, you can't do that no more. You're a father now. So I had to become responsible from a mindset perspective. That was when she told me she was pregnant. A couple months later, that's when I got off social media. I ain't been on social media in a decade. And I know what you're going to say. People always ask me, how do you do what you're doing not being on social media when the whole world is about social media?
You know what? You're right. Because I think I did try to look you up on social. I know I found you on LinkedIn.
But I don't call that social media. That's like really a business profile.
Yeah, that's a business.
But TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I got off that about 10 years ago. And people ask me all the time, how do you do everything you're doing and know the people you know and doing what you're doing, and you're not on social media? And that's the way the world works. And I tell people all the time, if you knew how to hustle and get money and do your thing before social media, you can do it now.
Yeah. Plus,
Life is about
built
relationships.
Really, 10 years is a long time of relationships that are solid, right?
My relationships is strong, and that's why I tell people I don't need to be on social media, because my relationships, I'm talking about 20 years in the game.
Yeah.
People, a lot of people that's on social media, they force themselves to be on social media.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
We do. Just in case you're watching this clip, we force it.
Absolutely. But you don't need social media, because if your relationship, that's why I tell people, I don't cross people. I don't cross people for no money. I do everything with good intention and good character, and my karma good. Because every business, when I do business, it's all good intention. I do things the right way. So I got relationships that I've had 15, 20 years ago. We still getting money. We still doing things. So social media is not needed for me, because people hitting my line all the time. It's all referral.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of person that I know that if I don't have no money, my phone gonna ring. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have that mindset. It's the work that you've put in throughout the years. It's them people still gonna ring your phone.
Yeah, I agree. So you and you and this young lady, do you guys settle down officially as like a family?
We did, and unfortunately, we broke up when she was like 4 years old. But we do a great job of co-parenting, and it took me a long time to. She has a new boyfriend that she's been with for a few years. And as a father, you don't want no man around your child, around your daughter. So he's a great guy. He treats my daughter with nothing but love. So it's something that I had to get over and accept. You know what I mean? But we do a great job of co-parenting. But my daughter's the one that changed my mindset, why I got off social media, the way I need to start moving and doing things differently. And she the one that inspired me to get into children's books.
And now to backtrack, the getting off social media, why was it so crucial for your growth?
I had to. I had no choice. I was in the party scene so tough. I had so many girls that if you're trying to settle down and have a kid and be a father, you got to get out the spotlight. Like, I'm not gonna say names or go into like, I don't do that. But it was to a point where like I was having relationships with a lot of celebrity women, high level executive that was coming to my parties. I'm talking about full on relationships, and my lifestyle was real wild around that time.
Full on relationships as in like on the personal side.
Yeah.
Oh, so you was really
a lot of sexual relationships with a lot of celebrity women and influencer women and socialites. I mean, they was coming to my parties, and it got to a point where like I was in demand, and you know how it go. So I had to get off social media because that wasn't the lifestyle that I needed. Coming to be a father.
I would imagine you go into your phone and it's like 3, 4, 5, 10 messages from, hey, you wanna, and you're like trying to turn your life around.
Yeah, that's why my relationships didn't work out when I was in the party scene, because like it got to a point where it just, the lifestyle I was living, you can't have a relationship and have a family doing that. It's never gonna work. So that's why I got off social media, because I want to focus on being a father.
So you become this dad and you're reading children's story. Paint me the scene of how becoming a dad morphs into, a children's author per se, and without skipping a beat. So if I'm moving too fast, slow me down.
So I'll give you the whole story, the rundown. So what was the biggest thing that have happened in our life these last few years? I'm talking about the whole world. What changed the whole world a few years ago?
The pandemic.
So, when that came, a lot of people stopped making money. Productions were shut down. You couldn't go nowhere, right? So the pandemic came, and the person that's now my agent and my business partner for the books, we was talking about some business, some toy business, a toy deal for one of my clients at the time. And
clients at the time, what were you doing at the time where you were doing clients?
I was doing a lot of different music stuff, sports stuff, and one of my clients at the time, she was like 15 years old. She's one of the biggest. Shout out Brooklyn Queen. She's one of the biggest influencers on TikTok, stuff like that. But she had like a massive following, and we was talking about doing different business with her. So that transpired into, have you ever thought about? She's an author. She's an agent. She's a very successful person in the publishing industry. She said, with your resume and your background, have you ever thought about doing books? Because you just had a daughter. At the time, my daughter was like 3 years old. Have you ever thought about doing children's books? I'm like, not really. I ain't never thought about doing anything for children or books in my life. Like, unless you have a kid, you ain't really thinking about no children's book. She was like, you know what? That's a big industry. That's something you need to think about. You have the network. you have the vision to create your writer. She was like, think about it. So I'm like, she was like, and you can make some money during the pandemic when ain't nobody making no money right now. Passive income.
I like this lady.
Yeah. Shout out Karen Kilpatrick. Thank you for everything you did for me. I wouldn't be in this book industry without her. She taught me the game. She taught me everything I need to know. Like, my success in publishing is because of her, and I thank her for it all the time because it changed my life. These books took me around the world. So
these books are just so you know, for all the listeners, these books are so beautiful. Like the animation, the professionals. It's distributed, published by HarperCollins, which is a bit. That was another reason why I wanted you on the show to like kind of walk me through how do you get this. But I see how it's working. Okay, you got this long resume.
Yeah. So she was like, let's start creating. So I told her, I said, you know what? If I get into this game, I don't want to do the cute bedtime stories. I don't want to do stories that don't mean nothing. I want to do stories that I think is cool, and I think that kids and their parents think is cool. So I started doing my research. I said, you know what? I see all these books and stories, but I don't see nothing that's talking about hip hop. Now, keep in mind, this is before Hip Hop 50. I had signed my deals already before I even knew Hip Hop 50 was coming. It just fell in line, and the books released during Hip Hop 50. So I said, I'm gonna create a hip hop series that's going to teach kids about the legends and the history of hip hop, but through education. So once I started creating it, she said, well, you got to create it where like the education part is very fluid, you know what I mean, through it. So, you know, books teaching you how to count, teaching you your numbers. Biggie is the opposites. So we're teaching them about these hip hop legends' lives, but while they're learning how to count and the alphabets and opposites and whatnot. So we created the Tupac first. And shout out to Luana Ori. She's my publisher. She's my editor at HarperCollins. She did LeBron James book. She did Dwayne Wade, Gabrielle Union book. Big time editor there. We created Pac first, and she loved a Pac one. She was like, I love this. It's nothing on the market for this. This can be big. I give you a deal for 4. I give you a series.
Wow.
And
now you at this point, are you pitching the actual book? Or are you pitching the concept?
I'm pitching the concept.
Ooh.
I'm pitching the concept. And she was like, this concept is so big. She was like, this is not a one-off. She's like, this is a series.
Okay.
She was like, if the Tupac one is good, the manuscript, I give you a deal for 4.
Okay.
We turned in the Tupac one. She saw it. She said, we want to sign the deal for 4. Pick what other three you want. Now,
and you didn't pick Jay-Z. Just want to point that out one more time.
I had to pick.
I know.
Biggie.
I know why. Explain to the listeners why you did not go with Jay-Z.
Right.
Because I think your explanation made a lot of sense. Even though I'm a hater because you don't have Jay-Z. But go ahead, explain to everyone why you chose who you chose for the books.
Okay, so I chose Pac because Pac is my favorite hip hop artist of all time. He always gonna be number 1 for me. You know, just from his music, from his movies, just his personality, who he was, is just, you know, who he was. You know, he was just like the realest rapper ever. So I chose Pac. Dear Mama, my favorite song of all time. When I chose Pac, I said I have to choose Biggie because their lives go together. You can't talk about Pac without talking about Biggie. You know, as far as what they went through on the street level in the music. So that's why I picked Biggie, because they go together. I'm like, if you have Pac, you can't tell the story of Tupac and don't tell the story of Biggie, the kids, because their lives go together.
Yeah.
So I picked them 2, and then they was like, well, you got to pick a woman because we need a woman enough for women empowerment. I'm like, of course. So they gave me different options to choose. They gave me Queen Latifah. They gave me Missy Elliott. They gave me
Lauryn Hill,
MC Lyte, Lauryn Hill, Salt and Pepper. Shout out to Salt and Pepper. My homegirl, Manage Salt, and they want to do a book too. But
I can't wait till all these books drop with everybody.
Yeah. So I picked Queen Latifah because, you know, Miss Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
Unity is my favorite female empowerment record of all time. And then they was like, for the last one, I want to pick a group. So I'm like, Kid and Play is my favorite group of all time. House Party. You know,
House Party
so I
was
said,
legendary.
Yeah. So that comes out later this year, the Kid and Play joint. Now, keep in mind, the story about to get even. So at the same time, I'm working with one of the top female music artists in Africa. I'm working with one of the top female music artists in the Caribbean. Her grandfather created the music genre soca. Rod Shorty created the music genre soca. Nyla Blackman is his granddaughter. And Miss V was my music artist in Africa. I said, there's never been no mainstream children's book talking about soca and carnival. There's never been no mainstream children's book with a deal from a music artist in Africa. So I said, I want to bring them in and get them deals. So Ms. V, she has a big song called Natural Girl. It's about teaching Black girls how to embrace themselves and their natural skin and who they are.
I like that.
So I created the book titled Natural Me, me and my partner. And it's a spinoff of her song, and that's with HarperCollins as well. Nyla Blackman's book is about Carnival and soca called Love Lala, where he's teaching her the sights and sounds of Carnival while he's teaching her soca. All this was going on doing my hip hop series. I got all them deals within the same month.
Wow. And then just curious for all listeners out there that are wanting to get into becoming an author. When you're doing a book on like a Tupac, a Queen Latifah, is there some kind of clearing of rights? How does that whole part of the deal work?
Well, thankfully, when you sign to them big companies, the legal department take care of all that. I'm not responsible for any of that. The legal team get all those rights and whatever needs to be done legally. That's the pros of working with a big publisher.
Wow.
They do all of that.
When you got your publishing deal off concept, what did that moment feel like for you?
It was a crazy moment for me. I'll never forget. It was April 2021, and I had got 6 book deals within the same week. We had been pitching them since like January, and when the deals all came in, they all came in at the same time. I got 6 book deals. My agent called me within the same week.
How did you have an agent to begin with?
My partner I was telling you about, Karen Kilpatrick.
She was your partner / agent.
Yeah, she's a big agent in the publishing industry, so she's my agent.
But she was the one that also pitched you to write books. So what were you doing to have an agent prior?
Oh, you mean to have her?
Yeah.
No, she asked me if I wanted to get into the children's books and what I thought about it, and she said, well, you're gonna need an agent. She said, I'll represent you because she's a big agent, and represent a lot of authors.
Nice. So she was like a friend / partner /
No, she wasn't friend. We had at the time, obviously she's a friend now, but at the time we had met, and it was like business from the top about the books.
So were you pitching her the books? Because I'm missing something.
Okay.
So she was, she was on the phone with you, and she was like, "Have you ever thought about publishing?"
Correct.
What were you guys doing for her to even? What kind of business were you doing?
We
together?
had met on LinkedIn.
Oh,
we had met on LinkedIn, and when we met on LinkedIn, it was about the toy business for one of my clients at the time.
Okay.
Because she used to be a VP at a big toy company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when she was like, "Have you ever thought about doing books?"
But you keep saying your client at the time. What were you doing to have these types of clients? Like, just
music, sports.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a lot of stuff came from my parties.
So, but that's what I'm saying. What were you doing for these people for them to be your clients? Were you managing them?
Oh, okay. I was producing music.
Mm-hmm.
I was managing them. I was doing PR from them. I was doing a lot of different things.
Okay.
So for the client at the time, Brooklyn, I was producing music on her. I was doing PR with her for different like networks and companies and stuff like that. So we was doing a lot. So same thing for Nyla and Ms. V. I was producing music. We was doing a lot of different things. So I was like, what you think about children's books?
So this makes a lot more sense. So kind of going back to why you got off social media, no matter what, clients were always hitting your phone, or opportunities were always coming to you
all the time.
Are you almost done cooking?
I'm almost done.
We gotta wrap. We're gonna end the episode with no food.
Absolutely.
Shout outs to Pimpin' for this meal.
Absolutely, Pimpin'.
So go back to April 21st. You said 2021.
Yep. April
you have
2021.
6 book deals. Why did you choose publishing offers? Why did you choose HarperCollins? And you could obviously, it could also be the money, but why did you choose them?
I chose them, and then my other one through Penguin Random House. I chose HarperCollins because
you could have 2 publishing deals at the same time?
Penguin Random House and HarperCollins.
Would you tell them up front?
So when the offers came in, we decided like who we want to go with, and HarperCollins. So Luana, that gave me my deal for that, she come from producing LeBron James children's book, Dwayne, all these big children's books about the culture, about us. Yeah. So I'm like, for a hip hop series, this is the right one to go. And then shout out Saxton Moore. He is the illustrator of Legends of Hip Hop.
Amazing illustration. Amazing.
Three-time Emmy director from Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. The guy is amazing.
This isn't his first book, or is this his?
No, he's been doing things for years.
His artwork is absolutely stunning. So continue. Sorry. continue with your story.
Oh,
so why did you choose Random House? What publishing deal does Random House have with you?
Well, the Love Lala, Nyla Blackman's book.
Okay.
Because the editor that gave me that deal is big in the Caribbean culture, and I wanted the book to be authentic. So I remember one day, me and my business partner, we was writing it. We was sitting up all night thinking of like their language. Mm-hmm. We was like looking at the dictionary, like in Trinidad and soca is different language. So we wanted our books are very authentic, and that's why they're doing well. Like however they talk in their country, that's how the children's books are. So we had to study all of that. Like I'm a real nerd when it comes to like being great and having a vision and doing something. Like I really study this.
Now, what did your daughter say when she first saw your books?
She couldn't believe it was me. She couldn't believe it. She was like, "You wrote these?" She was like, "I inspired you to get into this." I said, "Baby, you changed my life. You inspired me to." And shout out to my daughter. It's her birthday today. Mm-hmm. Happy 9th birthday to my daughter Gianna. But she was shocked. She couldn't believe that I had did that. And for her to learn about people that we grew up off of, that was pretty different for me.
Now, this is a sidebar. Since you had your internship opportunity with Pimpin' in Oakland,
Player Potatoes.
With these Player Potatoes, I am genuinely curious. Here, don't burn me.
I know.
Does it make you look at women differently when you are dating them versus like just dating for looks or cuteness or what have you? I don't know why I have so many on my plate.
Hold on.
I'm already
you might
big.
need a little.
I'm already big. You gonna eat some of these?
Okay. Let me see.
Watch it taste great and be like.
Hold on. You may need some of this now. Let me see.
Why you didn't put seasoning salt on it?
I did. A little bit more. All
right, guys. Pull a chair up. We're pretty much at the end of the episode, which kind of sucks because I have so much more. Turn off that stove.
There we go.
You don't cook at home, do you?
I don't.
Okay. Come closer. This will be your mic. Okay. So let's try. Did you answer my question? Do you look at women differently since knowing Pimpin'?
Absolutely.
So like when you date, do you date for more than just looks and?
Absolutely. And I like dating. Just educated women that have goals, and it's always bigger than looks for me. Mm-hmm.
Don't burn yourself on that.
Oh no, I'm good.
On the potato right there.
Yeah, right, no, it gotta be. You gotta have goals. You gotta have morals. You gotta have, just a mindset that you want to be great and you're looking for more. He mm-hmm. taught me that. Mm-hmm. Sharp women. I love sharp women. Yeah. Nothing is sexier than a sharp woman.
Yes.
I don't date women that look for dudes to be tricks, and I don't associate with them type of women. Mm-hmm. Women that's looking for dudes for come ups and tricks, and dudes flying girls around the country and taking them shopping, and them type of girls that can't get my attention on whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Well, let's see what Pimpin'. You lived on this in Oakland, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Well, it's a great dish. It's a great dish, and I love that it's colorful. Shout outs to Pimpin' for, kind of changing the trajectory of your life. I love that this mentor played such a pivotal role, and just to see where you are at today. And I love that you came from a 2-parent household, because I think the assumption on the show can be, well, if you didn't come from nothing, but no, your pivotal journey started right there in the middle, and your parents did a great job. Shout outs to your daughter.
Shout out
for leading us to Legends of Hip Hop, the series, and when you get your Jay-Z version.
Yes.
Can I at least get the first text or email like, hey, it's happening? Or can I get like some input? Can I see like one of the drafts? Would I be allowed to see like a draft like before you send it to your agent? Like,
absolutely.
So I could be like, oh, okay.
Let's do it. Let's get one on hold.
But this right here is spectacular.
Thank you. And I eat this from time to time, just to reflect. Time to time, I'll still, I'm not a cook, I don't cook, but from time to time, I'll still do this just to remember like where I came from and the struggle and the journey and persevering and just life lessons that I learned while I was eating this dish.
This dish is really great. Really great. Seasoning did a good job.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for responding to me. And you were right, but when it comes to your network, I saw you on LinkedIn. I was very like, wow, this is amazing. Legends of Hip Hop. unique Black author. You know, it's nice to see people of color in different industries. But I did, of course, reach out to some other people. I tried to see who you knew, and everyone came back saying really great stuff about you. So you did your research on me, huh? I did. Really? I always have to. I'm like, I literally picked up the phone, called someone I hadn't talked to in like almost a year.
Oh, wow.
And asked about you, and it was great things. They were like, yeah, you'd be great if you could get him on the show. And I was like, that's when I hit you up. So, yes, and I rarely check my LinkedIn after.
You said Haley, right?
It was Haley. Shout out to Haley.
Shout out to my girl, Haley.
Haley.
Real cool.
Yeah, she has, she's been on the show. She has her hair care products in all Walmarts. Yes. And I did ask her about like DEI and how all that was affected her.
They're doing great. And her and her daughter, they're great.
They're great. When it comes to your book sales, I just have a couple last questions. Is there any pressure to sell a certain quantity or market a certain quantity?
No, you know, it's not pressure. You know, when you sign deals with the publishers, they give you a real nice advance, you know, to do your thing. And there's no pressure because when they sign you, they sign you because they love the product. And the books have been performing well, so I'm thankful for that. They've been performing real well. A lot of celebrities been doing things with them. One of the things that took me back about this book is in when Ludacris, shout out to Luda, he's my favorite, one of my favorite hip-hop artists of all time. And when he did it, when he was, you know, talking about him, taking photos and stuff with him, that did it for me because he's like top 3 all time for me. So a lot of celebrities been taking pictures with the books, buying the books for their kids. These books been circulating a lot in the celebrity world. So it's humbling.
And now we know a lot of what you've shared, a lot of the knowledge that really helps you grow. Outside of that knowledge, for people like I have a girlfriend I told you that's trying to get into writing children's books. What kind of advice would you give that person? You can say it right into that camera.
Advice for getting into the children's book industry: create. Always make sure your story has depth to it. You know, have a beginning, have a middle, have an end. Have something that the character has to persevere through, have to learn from. And that's what agents look for. That's what publishers look for. It's not just about writing a cool story, but your story has to have depth to it. You know, it has to have something a challenge that they're trying to get over, because that's how kids relate, because life is not perfect. So if you write a children's book that is just like all cool, but there's no lesson in it, it's just like these books. It's like, yeah, we teaching you about hip hop, but what else are we teaching you? How to learn, how to counter opposites. We teaching you things that you're going to learn in school, you know? So always like start with a great story that has a beginning, a middle, an end. You know, you have to have an agent if you want to get into like the big publishers, because they're the ones that negotiate you, get you the best deals. You can't do this alone, you know, at all. So it's like create a great story, get an agent, and really just, you know, put your foot on the gas. You got to network, you got to hustle. If you really want to get into the children's book industry, let it be known.
Yeah, let it be known. And then just from one parent, I don't know how you feel about when you read children's stories. After I had my daughter, I'm very picky when it comes to children's books now. The books that have the most words like drive me nuts, especially at bedtime. I love that you balance that in the book, because there are people that will write like a whole novel, and I'm like, lady, you know, we trying to get through bedtime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to just start making up the story because I don't want to read these words in the semi-dark, trying to set this mood, right?
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, and you did a really good job about that. And that's the only thing I would say. If you're going to get into children's books, please not only have a great story, but please don't do too much with the words.
And then when you're doing, like, I did a lot of tours, like all over the country. So when you're doing stuff at libraries and schools and things like that, you want to keep it simple because, you know, the classrooms only have so much time before they got to get to the next one. So you want something that the kids can gather, you know, real quick. When you're doing like tours, especially, it helps.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Pen Ken in the building.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for fitting us in your schedule. Shout outs to your baby girl. Happy birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday, Gianna Kennedy Monroe. And once again, this is the dish that I was eating while I was broke. And from time to time, I still come back to just to reflect.
It's a great dish. I would eat this this will be a staple. If you're a mom at home and you want to make something under 20 minutes that's hearty and filling, this is absolutely superb. And you can throw it with some chicken and you're good.
Absolutely.
So shout outs to Pimpin' on that.
Yes.
Peace out, guys.
Later.